Okay, so we're back. I've closed in most of the rest of it. I've got some oddities that I don't particularly like, but we'll sort those out as we go and start to clean up things. Let's just do a little bit of cleanup now. One of the things you can do to clean this up is it's very messy in the sense that there's some areas that are sort of pushed together more. We need to even out the edge loops wherever we can. One of the tools we can use to do a lot of that is with a relaxed conform brush. So we can do a bunch. So if we can actually just go and touch them, you can actually see that we can quickly just even some of these out, and it'll spread them out. Now it could pull them off where we want them to be, but that's okay. We've got our conform brush. We can just make sure that we've got some major lines falling back to where we're supposed to. And again, underneath the chin here, we can see that we've got a complete disaster happening. I'm going to touch that. Now the center line is going to get messed up every single time I touch it. It's just not going to work well on it. But you can see that this is evening out the mesh quite quickly. Again, some spots I want these tight down either side here. So we're just going to go in and work that out. And again, see if we pulled that center line, just going to massage it back. We'll fix it properly in a minute. And again, up the side of the face, back to the relax brush. I'm going to even take the relax value down. And for the hotkey for your brush strength, it's the same as all brushes in Mac, so it's Shift Alt. So I just take that down a little bit and just relax those out. Starting to pull away from where I'd really like it to be, because I want this one to follow this line up and around full strength again. Now we have to try and sort out the ear, which can be a real hassle trying to get the ear to work. But again, let's consider some of the major edge loops. We've got these tight lines that we need to follow. So let's just start with those, and let's just start with a tight line around. Get a little polygon group going around there that we can see. So I'll just carry that across, and again, you'll notice I'm trying to match up to what I already have for the most part. Right click down because I can see where that's going to go up and around the side of the ear. Sort of makes sense where it's going to go to. And again, I'm kind of making this up as we go here to try and make it look right. I don't really know where that's going to go. I think into there, although this is going to have problems. So let's just do a division across here. I can see where that is now. Whoops, and I wasn't in my edge mode. Let's bridge those two together. Probably going to end up with another line across here somewhere for this ear. But that's okay. Pull that one out. Now trying to figure out where this one goes. Maybe it is from there to there. And then we can start looking at the rest of this. So let's actually just bridge some of these across right now. Again, this isn't a very complex ear, so it's going to be relatively easy to get done correctly. I'm going to guess that this is going to have to go in here, but I'll wait and just do a bridge there. Then let's sort that out a little bit with some new edge loops. So I'm just going to drop a new edge loop in there, and we can use our conform, just get it out on the surface so we can see where it's laying down on. And I'm going to do this point by point here just so I know what I've got. So I want to get this around this outer edge of the ear. And it kind of disappears down the bottom here. It should be around the outer edge. And you can see we're going to be able to subdivide to and from. Now let's figure out where we're going to lie another line in. Probably right there. And that should work pretty good. I should have just used another tool there, but I can just grab those two and do a weld or collapse is the fastest. And back to our edges. And we'll just do a bridge on there. And we've closed sort of the ear up and over the main part. Now we need to carry it down and in. So I'm going to go to the, the border mode, and we can just scale that in. So, with our scale tool, sorry. And I'll just scale it down and in, and then stick it down at the surface. Just move some of these around to get them into the surface a bit better. And we'll have to figure out how to cap this off now. So we can carry in a few. Bridge that, I guess. And let's see what else we have. One there, one there. Looks like we're going to need one more line going in right here. Yeah, that one works, sorry. Take that back, and we'll go and add another bridge. Now we need definitely another line across this direction, so I'm going to add that with holding down Shift just to give me a contour already. So contour pretty good to start with. And then we can see where this finishes off. And bridge again. So that's it, pretty much closed in. Let's close this, let's push this out around to get the shape again. Put those back in there. So okay, that looks pretty good. Let's start on the eye. That's a pretty important area to be dealing with. I'm not too worried about this polygon in the back. We don't really need it. I think I capped it off, but it's really not necessary. It's going to be in the back of the eye. But I like to cap them to stop any light leakage from light happening. So if the light gets past the eyeball or ends up into the back of the head, it could pass right through the head and back out the other side. You can get these anomalies somewhere in the render where you don't really know what's going on. So let's check and see where this edge loop goes. It goes up and over the eye because I definitely need one there. And you can see it goes all the way down now and all the way down around the bottom. So nice clean edge loop. So I'm just going to hold Shift and drop that in. And again, we can use the relax just to relax the distance apart in those. And now we've got the brow shape being flushed out a little more. Let's get the shape around it. Because we start with these edge loops, it's very easy to add some edge loops. So we'll add a couple more. Again, we'll just stick them to the surface and then try and make sure that they're in areas that we want them to be. I want to decrease the offset here, the eye a little tighter. And now let's start looking at where some of those shapes and forms need to follow to be able to get the eye to be able to get the shapes that we're looking for. So we should follow those grooves, those deep grooves around. If you don't, it'll be very, very difficult to be able to get the kind of shapes that we need. We're going to have to do something in the corner of the eye probably here. Once you get these few in place, it's really, really easy to then add more. They're just going to all drop right into place and give you the shapes and forms that you're looking for. So there's the eye starting to look good. Let's also just mirror them in the other side and get them mirrored at this point. So I'm going to grab the outer edge. Just grab that outer edge. That should travel around the model and stop the corners. I'm going to use the align to X. I want to make sure that it's zeroed out in the center. So I need a center point here. It's zeroed out in the center. And then I'm going to add the symmetry modifier. Always turn off slice along mirror planes so it doesn't try and cut your model in half. And always take your weld threshold down to 0.01 so it doesn't try and weld things that it shouldn't weld. Never leave that up, or else as your model gets tighter and tighter and more verts, it'll actually end up welding things together that you don't want to have it welded. Looks like we've got a hole still in the model here that I've missed and we need to address as well. I'm going to go and tweak out a few more of the shapes, and we'll be back and we'll address a few more of the issues in the model to try and get this to look good, and then it'll be into unwrapping. Okay, so we're back here now. I'm just starting to fine tune the mesh. You can see I've added a lot of edge loops, but they're all flowing nicely, all pretty even around the model, keeping the center line intact, and starting to work out some of the nice forms. So we're going for really quite a high res model here. This isn't a game resolution model for this Retopo. So we also want to try and retain some of these sharp edges. Now we can get them out of normal maps. That'll certainly help. But it'd be nice if we could get some of the sharp edges around the corners really standing up a little bit more and a little bit more crisp. It'll help to keep it really, really nice and crisp in the final. And then, of course, a normal map on top as well to really make sure that we pull it out exactly the way we want. We also need a mouth pocket in there, and we have to put that in place. So let's get the mouth pocket put into place here. I'm just going to turn off show end result for now. And I'm just going to hide the mesh, the base mesh that we're working on. By the way, the Retopo tools here will still work even with it hidden, so it isn't necessary that that it's visible unless you just need it for visual reference. I'm going to grab the inside edge of the mouth that I've generated, and I'm just going to shift drag it back a bit. We'll call that the first inner loop of the mouth inside. We're going to have to shape that out a little bit. And I'm going to pull it out again, and we'll then start working this out. So I can go to the scale tool and just scale it out a bit and start pushing it out sideways and start pushing it up possibly. It's going to be a little twisty mess here while we get working on it and start sorting it out. So we can use the shift brush now. The shift brush allows you to be able to grab the model and pull on it in sort of mass and with a nice fall off. Problem is with the default on the shift brush, which is really aggravating, it defaults, and let me just drag out this toolbar again that's been added. I don't need mirror on because I'm not working on a mirrored mesh. But it is by default working on depth, so it's actually like a cylinder running through the scene. It means if I grab this area here, you can see it's pulling all the way at the back. So what we need to do is we need to change that and put it on spherical. This will act more like, say, Mudbox's tool now. And we could go about just using it as a grab brush to grab and push our mesh around. I like this just because it makes it a little more organic and a little easier to grab with a fall off instead of using the soft selection. It's basically creating a soft selection environment just at the end of your brush. So I'm just going to stretch that out a little bit, maybe push these up a bit more. Start going in the center of the mouth, and you can see that we're pulling them sideways a whole lot here, which shouldn't be doing. So I'm just going to fix that up real quick, and then we'll reset our center line as well. Let's grab that and let's pull it back, and we can then try another just a quick scale. It'll get us part of the way there. And again, I'm just going to go to maybe a bigger grab brush here and just pull some of this down in for the mouth. And I'll pull it back again. At some point, we're going to start going down the back of the throat, essentially. And it'd be nice if it was straightened out front to back in the y-axis. So we can go to our align tool, Y, just straighten that up. Probably even straighten this one up to make it a little bit easier. And let's just do a bit of shaping again. Again, the hotkeys are the same as all Mac's hotkeys, except this brush again has an inner and outer. So the shift is the inner, control is the outer for size, and the shift alt is the weight on the brush. I'm going to use the relax brush, just the standard relax here. So I don't have an inside to the model, so there's no way of actually there's no way of actually getting this to sit on the surface because there is no inner whatsoever in here. See, we can shape it out pretty quick. I think I'm just going to rotate this back edge as well. Maybe even scale it down. And let's take it down into the back of the throat. And we'll rotate that. And I'll scale it. And we'll scale it this way. And try and consider that center line just a little bit. You can see where I made a mess of this part here. I'm just going to push it in with the grab brush. Get it just a bit closer so that we don't have to fix more vertices we need to get it straightened up. So that's looking pretty good. Let's just straighten up that center line. So I'm going to grab it, just double click on it all the way around, align to the X, zero it out to make sure that it is aligned to the center. Now we're starting to get an inner for the mouth. And you can see that that shape is being formed nicely. So we're got lots of little cleanup mess that needs to be taken care of around near the edge of the mouth so that it looks right. And it looks like we're going to have to pull up and just tweak it out a little bit. We'll check out the actual low res and just see what we start getting. So you can see it's actually clipping it off now because there's not an extra edge loop on the inside. So let's add an extra edge loop, holding down shift. And let's just let that lift up there. And we're going to have to stick that to the surface if we can and see if that will actually raise onto the surface properly. And it looks like it'll do a pretty good job. Obviously our center line's breaking as we do that. And you can see that if we hit the wrong ones, it may jump and go in directions. You can see there's nothing for it to hit in this location back here. So we have to do some pushing and pulling by hand so that we can actually see these. So let's just grab them. And we'll just we can fix them and pull them around and make them a little bit more round. Again, let's go and fix that center line again. And we're seeing we're getting a little bit of odd shape and form happening here. So back, let's take a look at it and see what's happening. You can see as we did that, trying to stick it to the surface, it was getting very confused and dropping it completely the wrong locations. And we have this loop sticking out the other side. One way to fix it really, really quick is just to hit the relax, pick that edge loop, and just get it back up into the shape again. And we're going to have to do this by hand and be careful from here on in that we don't accidentally bump this with the tools for the in the freeform and stick it down to something that we don't want it to stick down to. I just want to move those over a little bit and probably tweak them out, but let's just do some edge loops. And again, just go and hold down the shift as we add some of these. Oops. And round out the inside of the mouth. We can pull that down a bit more now and clean it up. So these freeform tools can really, really, really help clean up the model. I'm just going to try and straighten those up a bit again first, and then just pull them down again. And there we go. That's starting to look pretty good inside. We're going to have to get teeth in there, and we'll probably have to reshape the inside of the mouth later as we start working on that and getting the teeth put into it. Maybe pushing that side out back the other direction. Just using the brush right now. Just the push-pull brush, just to push the back side out a little bit. And I'll just give it a little bit of a relax. Same time to straighten it out. So we'll accept that for the moment. as the inside of the mouth. And now let's start getting some edges done and cleaning up those edges, making sure they're really nice and tight around the model. So that can be done really easily. Back to our surface, just going to show it as see-through again so we can see what we're getting at, and we can start building those in. So let's start looking at some of these edge loops. So for instance, this edge loop needs to get tightened up around this tight area and around here and around this flowing line here. So we need more and more of these lines to be able to look clean. Around the mouth, for instance, we're going to use the chamfer tool. So I'm going to hold down Shift and hit chamfer so it opens up the dialog box, or you can, open up and go into chamfer settings. I find it easier to hit Shift and open it. So with the chamfer tool, you can see we can chamfer it out a little bit. We can also set an extra edge. So if we say 2, it's going to add that extra edge in there. Adding that extra edge will really pull the turbo smooth tight. Now, hopefully we get tools coming soon that allow us to be able to do that kind of thing a little bit quicker and easier, and in the idea of open subdiv. But with that being pulled tight now, just turn off show end result, you can see we're going to get a really, really nice tight curve in there. It's going to be tight in areas that we don't want, however. I'm just going to hit the plus sign, which will do it again, but as soon as you deselect, it'll disappear. So you can see it's actually made it disappear basically, so it's added it once. So we can go into the chamfer, hit the plus, and then go about selecting new ones. Click there and there. I'll hit the plus, and it's giving us a nice chamfer. This one here around this edge, plus, giving us a nice edge again. This one's quite soft around this part of the face. This one should be nice and tight as well. Just click on the plus again. You'll do the one around the mouth first, then this one over around the nose. Take that one, and that one should both be tightened up. Oops. I find with the Wacom tablet, it's very easy to double tap these. I'm going to take the one here, but I'm just going to deselect all the way down and into the mouth. You don't need them going down that far. And it'd be nice if this carried up and over the nose. We're going to have a complete mess here we're going to have to address. Probably going to have a complete mess up here somewhere we're going to have to address. And I'll just hit plus. And we need one around the eye. Again, you'll see it's making a mess that we're going to have to clean up. And probably even around the outside of the eye. And I might even terminate it there and see if I can take it down that direction to get this hard edge here. It looks like this one's not following it correctly. We're going to have to push those up and correct that. So we'll do around the ear as well and whatnot in a minute. Let's take it up around the chin. I think I want to spread this out just a little bit more. And then we'll take this one as well. Looks like it tucks up right over the top of the ear. That should be pretty good. And I'm just going to say stop there for the moment. And let's start working on this. So let's take a look at what we've done and what it's actually produced on the end product. And when you see the end result now, it's all very nice, tight edges, but we've got anomalies in the surface in places that's just not what we're looking for. So we're going to have to go around and smooth a few things out. But that's really starting to give us the shape and form that we did in the original model without even getting normal maps involved yet. Now, it does make it a little bit harder to start doing the targets because we have more vertices, but it really can get us a better result. I think there's another one we really need, is the one deep in the crevice. all the way around. So we want to add that one in too, just for now as well. So that's going to be that line right there. I think I'll carry it across the nose. So I'm just going to say chamfer. And in this case, we're going to tighten it up again down to probably about there. I'm just going to say yes. So with this, we will see a whole lot of extra lines. And I'm just going to turn that off. So I can turn this. You can see where we have these hard edges being generated where we don't want them. Some areas are looking really nice and clean. Other areas have little anomalies in the surface. We've got extra edges around places we're not looking for, but other spots are looking really, really good for, showing off that model. You can see we've got a line around the head. Now it can be fixed really easily with the relax brush again. Take that value down, and you can see we just relax that right out of it. And we'll have to do some cleanup in here as well to get this edge tightened up where it's supposed to be. So we can easily go in and clean up a few of these. Not going to worry about that center line being messed up again. We can solve that pretty quickly. Around the nose, you can see where it's generated a bunch of extra mess. And again, we're going to have to do some cleanup in here where it comes together. Make sure that we don't have really odd shapes and forms. So let's just see what we're doing. We've got smoothing this out. And it became quite a mess in the back of the ear. And we're going to have to address that. It's a mess underneath the ear. So again, we've got some cleanup to do to make this work. Turn off the show end result. Back into edge. So fix some of these extra hard edges here. Maybe I want to do a bit more. Just right in there. Smooth those out as they come out. And we got to fix that edge again to the X. Zero it, but now we've got some wobbly lines here, and so again we can just use the relax and just relax that a little bit and soften that to spread them out and make sure they're not coming together. So now we have some crazy issues like this one here, and we need to solve this. So we don't want this sort of mess involved. What we want to do is try and get nice clean lines again. So I'm going to go in and grab, I think, a whole bunch of stuff there and collapse it. And looks like we've got some verts on top of one another here or something. Let's try and collapse those out for now. Yeah, looks like we've got lots of little ones here. And I'm just going to use the brush. It looks like there's probably a couple here as well. I'm just going to collapse those together just to clean up. And now we're going to figure out how to get rid of some of these extra edges. So in the edge mode, I'm going to remove that one. And I think I'm going to remove, let's just go and do this one step at a time. Target weld that down to there. So I now have a quad here. And I can say remove that one. And let's go and take this and target weld that down to there. So we have a bunch of quads now. We look at the surface of the mesh. It should be giving us a pretty clean And that should be producing a pretty good result again. Looks like we have a centerline issue. And just check that. Okay, let's see what we've got now as far as turbo smooth goes. Let's see how many problems we have in our surface after doing some of that. Looks like we have definitely some areas under the surface in this location. So I'm just going to address and take a look. So this is way too hard in here. This has caused a problem here. We're going to have to clean that up, soften that line. Yeah, we've got some anomalies in the surface across here. You can see some bumps in the surface. We're just going to have to clean up, probably just setting them back down to the surface. A couple other small anomalies in the surface. A lot of this would probably not even show up under texturing, and some of it may go away completely once a normal map's on there. Sticking things down to surfaces and just addressing a few spots that there's some bumps and lumps. So go ahead and clean that up, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at doing an unwrap on this character, I guess, and just getting his head ready to go back over the mud box for a little bit of texturing and that sort of work.